Good evening and welcome to Truckee Talks. I'm your guest host this evening, Ted Owens, and tonight we're going to be talking with Sandra Carter Packard, who is the President of Excellence in Education. Sandra, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. Now, we had some time to talk before the show, and I don't believe we'll have any trouble filling the entire segment up with your story, but why don't we begin with, tell me a little bit about your upbringing and where you grew up.
I grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, which is north of North Dakota.
It's hot there.
It's hot there for a very brief time in the year.
Summer in mid-July for a day or two?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now your education was also in Canada as well, correct?
I started in Canada in my undergraduate degree, and then I moved to Montreal and got a master's in exercise physiology from McGill University in Montreal.
And well, that wasn't your only master's.
No, I didn't stop there. I then moved to Los Angeles and received a master's in public health from UCLA.
And that really wasn't enough either.
And then moved on to USC and received a PhD in preventive medicine.
So you could virtually wallpaper your home in diplomas. Now, one of the things that we talked about that I thought was pretty interesting is the fact that you worked while you were obtaining your various degrees, mm-hmm. and we were talking about the importance of that. Mm-hmm. Why don't we share with the folks mm-hmm. at home a little bit of what we were talking about?
Sure.
Let me quote you. What you said was, while you were studying and working at the same time, you said you have to be out there, and it gave relevance to your study. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Could you expand on that?
I worked the entire time from my undergraduate degree and put myself through graduate school. And the benefit of that work was that it gave me a realistic understanding of how I could apply my knowledge to the people that I was trying to reach through exercise or health issues. And I saw throughout my educational career, both as a student and as a graduate teacher, the importance of being out in the field and working and understanding the practical nature of what you're learning in school and how it applies to the people that you intend to be working with, the kind of workplace that you hope to end up with in the long run. And I think that for all students wanting to go on through their education, an essential part is getting out in the field, whatever field it is, and understanding the day-to-day work that's involved.
I think that, just as a side note, I hired an intern that worked in our company. Turned out he worked 2 summers. But one thing that he went to the same university I did, but the thing that's interesting that's changed is he felt that to go into the workplace, you needed to have a good solid 2 or 3 internships under your belt for that very reason mm-hmm. of relevance to the study material. Mm-hmm. Now, your first job, which was that after your undergraduate degree?
Well, I taught throughout, beginning with teaching just fitness to the public, and then I became the director of fitness and dance at McGill University. And so I was working with teachers and students at that time. So I had the opportunity to see both sides of that work.
And what did you do after that? What was your next kind of career move?
After that, I moved to Los Angeles, and I became involved with the UCLA Center for Health Enhancement. And we had a variety of different workplace-based programs where we were out in the workplace, whether it was Mattel Toy Company, with defense industry companies, hospitals, other corporations, putting wellness programs in place in the workplace. And one of the things that I learned from that experience was that no matter who I was working with, no matter what their occupation was, they were all going to acting school at night and all living in Los Angeles to make it big.
Probably unique to Los
To
Angeles.
Los Angeles.
I would imagine. But that was kind of cutting edge stuff at that time, wasn't it? Where corporations looking at the wellness of their employees, having better employees as a result. That was kind of a new concept at that time?
That was extremely new. That was extremely new to the time. That was why I moved to Los Angeles. There weren't very many programs available in that field of study at the time. And I became involved with the American Heart Association to pilot test a program called Heart at Work that was to be distributed on a national basis to further those kinds of programs in the workplace.
Was it ultimately distributed throughout the nation?
It was ultimately distributed, but with several modifications. During the pilot test, we realized there were a lot of very well thought ideas that needed change to be put into place in the workplace in a realistic manner.
Further refinement type of thing.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to ask when you moved to Tahoe, but I thought I'd ask, why did you move to Tahoe first?
I moved to Tahoe. I met my husband at a wedding in Los Angeles, and
Sorry, guys.
and so after I was just starting my PhD at the time, and so.
So you commuted back and forth. You said earlier.
Yes.
For 5 years.
Yeah, almost 5 years. But I did finish my PhD. I was very determined to do that.
And the PhD was in?
Preventive medicine. And that was a brand new school at USC, and I was recruited because of my background. And it was a new institute of behavioral sciences and disease prevention. And so we
they recruited you for this program?
I was working at a summer job for the American Heart Association, and someone from USC was also working with me. And because the program had just started, they were looking for graduate students who would fit into their program. And so I was offered a scholarship to participate in their program, and so I willingly took that.
So obviously, and you completed that, and then you moved to Tahoe. Have you been able to utilize, you have been able to utilize that experience, that PhD experience up here, haven't you?
To some extent. After commuting for so long, and I wanted to have a child for a long time, so I did make a decision to not put as much emphasis on my career for a while.
And you probably had enough degrees, actually.
And I had enough degrees, yeah.
Okay. And now you've been involved in a number of community benefit projects and organizations, and the Tahoe City Beautification Project is one of them. I know that we talked about the hospital capital improvement organization. We'll talk about that. But tell me a little bit about how you got involved in the Tahoe City Beautification Program.
Sure. I just had a number of friends who had been involved for a very long period of time in the Tahoe City Urban Improvement Plan, doing a master plan for Tahoe City. I had gone to a meeting at one point early on and thought, gee, I'll never get involved in politics up here. I'm sure you've been to a few meetings of that nature.
You need to learn to say no, actually.
So the people that worked on that program worked very hard and were very successful at furthering the Tahoe City Urban Improvement Plan, and there was financing for the great bulk of the street underlying environmental improvements, but there was no...
Was that grant money primarily, or was it locally raised?
That was
Both?
grant money and Tahoe Conservancy money and monies from the counties. This was a $12 million project that involved capturing all of the runoff from the main road and filtering it and making sure that it did not end up in Lake Tahoe. The add-on to that project was our sidewalks, and there were no monies to put in what we consider to be enhanced sidewalks. There'd been several attempts at local taxes, at business assessments, just specifically.
Well, it's a dialogue that's been going on for 25 years.
Exactly. So we invited both people for and against. There had been a Measure T, a tax measure that had narrowly not passed and been promoted by Jim and Betty Corzine, who really had been wonderful backers of the sidewalks for many years. And so a group of us invited people both for and against the tax to a meeting and said, if we try to raise this money privately, will you oppose us? And they said no. And from there we did form a local business assessment district to pay for part of the improvements, and then went out to raise monies privately through donations, and were able to raise almost $1 million. And so we were really pleased with the outcome.
Big project. Well,
yeah.
What specifically was your role within the organization?
I was chair of the fundraising department of that.
Oh,
and before that, I don't think I'd done more than sell a raffle ticket. So but it was about community organization, and I had learned a lot of that through my experience in public health specifically. And so this really was about community organization and reaching out to the community and trying to get the message across.
Well, I think the importance is that you got both sides together and got an agreement struck up front before wasting your time.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I think that sometimes when you have the involvement level like that, which sometimes is lacking in these types of things, that things turn out much better. People have actually, instead of being opposed to something, all of a sudden have a part in it. And that's a little bit of a different role for them. Now, you've also been involved in the hospital capital improvement program. And how long have you been working with the hospital on that?
I believe it's been almost a year. I'm co-chairing with Breeze Cross and Ron Eskridge, and Maya Schneider is our administrator. And we are working on an extremely important project to the entire community, and that is to put an expansion to the Tahoe Forest Hospital. And thus far we've raised over $2.5 million, and we're shooting for at least $4 million.
And where do these monies come from? Obviously, some probably come from within the community, but I would imagine other monies come from outside the community. Is that, do you have a feel for that?
These are all private donations so far. Sorry, there have been some business donations as well. We've gone to several of the large corporations, ski corporations, and they've been outstanding in coming forward and supporting the hospital. I think everyone here realizes how integral the hospital is to all of our lives, whether we have employees, whether we have children, whether we have visitors who come up and are not in the best health. Taking the drive to Reno is
Sometimes they're in the best health when they get here.
That's right.
Not necessarily in the best health once
When they
they've been here. Now, I've seen the plans for the expansion, but for the folks at home to understand a little bit better, this is adding more square footage to the existing facility, and is, if I'm not mistaken, isn't part of that to try to achieve eventually a trauma center status?
Yes.
Right now, people have to be air flighted down to Washoe, down to Reno.
Yeah, it will increase our capability at the hospital in terms of the kinds of patients that will be able to be treated. There are already in the ground new operating rooms. There'll be improved rooms for our patients with technology changing and growing. A patient's room now needs to accommodate more than just a bed. We need to be able to roll equipment in and out of that room and accommodate family, which is now a more integral part of achieving health.
A modern health facility. And that works with your educational background as well.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about excellence in education. Another organization, I was joking with you earlier because I don't know when you have time to sleep or spend time with your family. How long have you been involved in, now you're the president of
Yes, I am.
Excellence in Education
This
for
year.
a 2-year term, and how long have you been involved in this organization?
This is my 10th year. And I started when our daughter Haley was born. I had several friends who really were the founders of Excellence in Education, Cindy Gustafson, Roger Kahn, and I had watched their involvement and been very, very interested in the work that they were doing for our local schools. And when I had Haley, wanted to become a part of the support network for our schools, and so I joined it at that time.
Well, tell us a little bit about what the organization does.
Sure.
Tell us about the last 10 years, what's been accomplished.
Excellence in Education is a partnership of businesses and our community. We have been very fortunate in having the support of our local businesses in our fundraising programs, which are our Dining for Schools programs, which I know we're going to get to in a few minutes.
Just a few moments. Yeah.
Our local restaurants have been just outstanding in their support for that program. Our Skiing for Schools program, again, has continues to be more successful. We have skiing days where we are able to raise money for our program, and then Golfing for Schools, which again, our golf courses donate rounds that we are able to sell in the form of golf carts. And the monies from all of our fundraising programs then go into our grants giving program and our endowment. And we donate back money to our schools in the form of grants, so that twice a year teachers are asked to submit grants to us for their needs, and they're reviewed. And we donated last year over $125,000 in the form of grants.
And it's amazing in this day and age, I mean, with the lottery system and fees, development fees, and the money that comes into the school district, that they're really still so hampered. We were talking before the program tonight that, you know, very basic programs that existed when I went to school, auto shop or wood shop, things of that nature, arts, music, are the ones that are fading away as a result of that. What type of program specifically, let's say in the last year, wrote a successful grant? Is there a particular program that stands out?
You know, there have been many really outstanding grants, and I'd have to say, just to get to the issue you're talking about, Excellence in Education really started out to be the icing on the cake, to be the monies for the teacher that was extremely creative and innovative, who had great ideas, but just didn't have the funds available. And through the years, even though we have been able to raise more and more money and donate more money back to the school, we have seen the needs growing year after year, to the point where we, in many instances, have had to fund basics, books for classes, where teachers have been asked to teach a class, but there's absolutely no money for books. Science tables, I mean, things that are absolutely, you would assume, basic
well, the type
equipment.
of things that we hear about from time to time, where you would assume that the school district would provide a textbook or coloring books or paper or crayons, and I've heard teachers spend a great deal of money of their own money.
Of their own money.
Not that they're, in my view, paid well enough to be really even doing that. So I think it fills an excellent void. Now, let's break for a moment and talk about the Dining for Schools card. This is a program. How old is this program now as a fundraising?
I believe it is about 9 years old. I think it was one of our very first programs that was started through Excellence in Education. We have over 40 area restaurants that participate, and they offer half-off entrees if you have our card, which I believe you're going to show on the screen.
Actually, I think, Peter, okay, he's showing on the screen right now. These are the participating restaurants. There's quite a few restaurants. Almost.
Over 40 restaurants, really encompassing the entire Truckee, Tahoe City, West Shore, Tahoe Vista area. And they have been very gracious in supporting this program year after year. And in a way, I think it's it works out well for both the consumer, who is encouraged to go out and support these restaurants, and I think it also helps the restaurants during our off-season, when they're able to offer half-price meals. Then more of our local community is going out dining with these cards, so I think it's a good win-win program.
Now these are for sale right now.
These are for sale right now.
I think best way to reach you is.
We have
our
local number is 581-5373. They're also available at Porter's and Bank of the West, and at Safeway stores and Albertsons.
In Truckee and in Tahoe City.
Yes, and Kings Beach.
Now, are they limited?
No, there is no limit.
And the cost?
And the cost is $45.
That's a bargain.
That is a bargain. It's paid for within the first couple of meals. And
The first meal in Truckee, actually, I would say. Now, since we were talking about it a little bit earlier, how do people get involved in excellence in education if they wish to do so? And what kind of roles are available for people that might be interested?
Well, we have, I think, the strongest board currently that I have seen in the time that I have been with Excellence in Education. There are a lot of people who are professionals throughout our community who participate. We have a public relations committee that encompasses people who are from marketing backgrounds throughout the Basin area. We have a grants giving program that again has a lot of knowledgeable people participating on. We have site liaisons at each single school site in the Truckee and North Tahoe area. We have representatives at every school. And of course, all of our fundraising programs require a lot of work also. So there's lots of opportunity for people to be involved.
Which brings a question up, Sandra, I have to ask. I think I know the answer already. Do you have staff, or do you handle it all in your copious amounts of free time?
Fortunately, Scott Ryan was the president prior to my my stay, and he was able to...
Your demise, yes.
He was able to help us facilitate an administrator. We have a half-time administrator, Di Harlow, and it has made all the difference in the world for those of us who are board members, because there was a lot of work involved, as you can imagine, in just reviewing grants and all the communications that go on with that kind of program, as well as all the fundraising programs. So it has been a
There's a tremendous amount with any organization of minutia and simple paperwork, filings, nonprofit filings that have to be done. It's very tedious, very difficult to do on a volunteer basis. So that's outstanding. Now, is there an office phone number, or is the number that we were showing
that
the number that
you were
people
showing?
can? So if we can have Pete put that up again, that's a number that works either if you're interested in the dining card program, or if you're interested in getting involved in excellence in education. Same number. Well, what's next in your life? What are you going to do after this?
Well, I think a lot of my volunteer work is about to phase out within this next 9 months, and my plan is really to be able to now enjoy and participate more with Haley, our daughter, and just be as much involved in her life, which I already see going by so very quickly, and to spend a lot of time supporting the programs that I have been involved with, but just be a little bit more of an Indian.
I don't know.
Play a little back role.
Kind of have a funny feeling that probably won't happen. Now, Haley's 9?
Haley is 9.
So do you believe that her teachers, as she moves through the school system, will feel undue pressure to be applying for grant money from Excellence in Education, having Haley Carter Packard in her class, or his class?
Well, I'm sure they're all very aware of my involvement, and I think we are extremely fortunate in this school district to have so many talented teachers, and so I just like them to know that we're here to help, and I think that this community is outstanding in the way that it does reach out and help our schools and so many of our children's programs. So.
Well, Sandra, I've certainly learned a lot tonight, and I think everyone at home has also. You've done, I haven't met many people in my life that's done as much as you've done in a short period of time, and it's outstanding. And I think your level of commitment to the community, both Tahoe City and Truckee and Excellence in Education and the other organizations that you've been a part of, is outstanding. And if you do have free time, there are some other organizations here in Truckee that I know probably could use your help. So we'll keep track of you. Sandra Carter Packard from the Excellence in Education Foundation tonight with us. And folks at home, if you would like to contact Sandra, why don't we put her number up one more time? Fletch, if you can, either for dinner tickets, the dining program, or to get involved. Sandra, thanks very much.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. I'm Ted Owens. This is Truckee Talks. We'll be back in just a moment. Hi, and welcome back to Truckee Talks. I'm Ted Owens with your calendar of upcoming events in and around our region for the week of October 9th. October 11th through the 13th is the Lake Tahoe Ultra 3-Day Stage Marathon. This is a 78-mile 3-day race that starts at Inspiration Point and over 3 days circumnavigates South Lake Tahoe. Call 544-7095 for more information to register. The Autumn Food and Wine Jubilee is returning to the resort at Squaw Creek. This event, sponsored by the North Lake Tahoe Resort Association, promises great food and wine tasting plus cooking demonstrations and seminars. The Jubilee is held October 18th through the 20th. Call 800-824-6348. Donner Ski Ranch refuses to let go of the two-wheeled event season just yet. They are bringing the annual Ski Run Scramble to the ranch on October 19th. Call the ranch at 426-3635 for more information on this fun-filled motorcycle event. October 19th through the 31st, the Village at Squaw is bringing you 13 days of Halloween. Ghost stories around the fire pit, costumes, safe street trick-or-treating, and more. Call 584-1000 for details. Mark your calendars now for the upcoming Tahoe Community Nursery School Ski Swap. This is their 39th annual and will be held Saturday, October 19th from 10 until 4 at the Alpine Meadows Ski Resort. Call 581-5825 for more information. And all you friends of the Truckee River, listen up. The 6th annual Truckee River Day returns on October 20th. This is a terrific day for volunteering and for all ages to help repair and restore the Truckee River and its tributaries and habitats. Call 587-4509 to volunteer. That's it for this week. Thanks again to Sandra Carter Packard for being our guest on Truckee Talks. Maya will be back next week, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.